Marhaba. Yes, that is welcome. Why am I saying marhaba? You get to find out shortly because something is happening from tomorrow that you need to know about. And it's my job to let you know what's happening in the maritime sector, all courtesy NIMASA. Welcome. My name is Cordelia Obe and this is NIMASA This Week. On the program today, I'll be taking you back in time just to show you something that happened in Nigeria. Nigeria hosted the third AMA conference. AMA simply means Association of African Maritime Administration. They held it, the third one, in Abuja. A bit of that will be shown to you because the fourth AMA will be taking place from tomorrow in Egypt. That is going to be an exciting time, and the Egyptian culture is very interesting. I can promise you that. Aside that, we'll also be talking about the Gambians. They came visiting. The DG of the Gambian Maritime Administration came to visit to find out how we do things, and NIMASA paid host. What about shipping? Shipping is a sector that can be really technical. We'll be telling you the story of a successful investor. So I ask you to please stay with us. And again, I say welcome. This is NIMASA This Week. NIMASA This Week is the program you're watching. Thanks for being there. You know, if you work in somewhere and they're not taking care of you, you wouldn't feel very good. Your welfare is very important, and so your employer should take care of your welfare, right? Right. And that's the case here. The seafarers are being taken care of. So much so, there is a board in charge of their welfare. And the chairman of that board paid a visit recently, leading other board members to NIMASA. Amongst other things, they commended NIMASA, that's the agency, for all the good job it has been doing. Watch from this report.
Welfare is considered a major challenge for seafarers, particularly in developing countries. Some employers are seen as not really caring for their well-being, so this makes the implementation of the Maritime Labour Convention, properly called MLC 2006, very imperative. Since Nigeria received the instrument of ratification from the International Labour Organization ILO 4 years ago, NIMASA has made it a point of duty to ensure better working conditions of service for Nigerian seafarers. Little wonder the chairman of the Nigerian Seafarers Welfare Board, Otumba Kunle Folarin, commended the agency for its commitment to seafarers' welfare. This much he said during the board's visit to NIMASA management.
In the last 18 years, the National Seafarer Board, perhaps maybe you know, has been the champions of seafarer welfare in this region. And I had the privilege to have been the chairperson in the region, transferring over 13 countries. I hardly sleep in my house because I believe in the cause of the seafarers' welfare. And I also believe that whatever NIMASA and other government agencies are going to do will reflect and propel and give a good image to Nigeria as a country.
Otumba Folarin, who also doubles as the chairman of the Nigerian Ports Consultative Forum, called on all stakeholders to support the policies of NIMASA in a quest to grow the Nigerian maritime sector.
National Seafarer Board will continue to support NIMASA. I believe I've been to about 6 public hearings on seafarers, on NIMASA bills on behalf of National Seafarer Board. We continue to do that. Wherever the mandate of NIMASA is threatened, we are threatened. If NIMASA is threatened, we are threatened, and we shall respond accordingly.
The NIMASA Executive Director, Cabotage and Maritime Labour Services, Alhaji Gambo Ahmed, who represented the NIMASA DG, Dr. Dakuku Adol Peterside at the meeting, assured them of the agency's commitment to the welfare of seafarers, amongst others.
So the importance of seafarers cannot be overemphasized. Because without seafarers, there will be no shipping. And without shipping, there will be no international trade, more or less. And without international trade, this table you will not see. This microphone you will not see. Somehow, they were imported and brought in. They were moved around the world. On our part in NIMASA, we will continue to partner with you within our own budgetary constraints.
Okay, now we're going to the land of the pharaohs. What are we going to do? We're going to meet administrators. Now, heads of African Maritime Administration. They're all gathering in Egypt for the 4th AMA conference. AMA simply means Association of African Maritime Administration. The third one held in Nigeria, in Abuja to be specific. It was a grand outing. After a long pause, we eventually hosted it. You want to believe me? Do, because I never lie to you on this program. And so I bring you some clips from last year's hosting of AMA in Nigeria, Abuja City. Enjoy.
Delegates from 34 African countries and others from Europe, Asia, and South America converged in Abuja for the 3rd conference of the Association of African Maritime Administration, AMA. The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency played host, and Vice President Yemi Oshibajo was on hand to declare the event open on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari.
Clearly, the enormous untapped potential for the making of a strong, self-reliant African economy lies embedded in the blue economy. It's a task of you, the seasoned leaders of the sector, to guide us, if you'll pardon the pun, on this crucial voyage. The challenges are many, but not insurmountable. The good news is that we are on the right path. Collaboration and synergies. Our countries have to continue to develop the maritime sector, beginning with the national level to the sub-regional and regional levels. Here in Nigeria, we have taken steps to tackle some of the issues peculiar to us, while still requiring regional and sub-regional collaboration. It is therefore my special pleasure to declare this conference open.
On his part, the Honorable Minister of Transportation, Honorable Rotimi Amechi, urged African maritime stakeholders to set the pace rather than wait for the West to lead.
Nigeria wishes to restate its commitment to continually contribute to the growth of maritime sector on the continent of Africa and globally. It is our expectation that this conference will address how to redeem our pride from our policy, retrieve insecurity from our restive waters, fish out profit from our seas, and sail unwavering to our goals. We own the key to quays and we should show it. We have to rebrand our continent as an emerging power. This conference should significantly increase Africa's stake in global seaborne trade and emerging blue economy through responsible maritime governance.
Other speakers at the 2017 AMA conference also spoke in the same vein.
The choice of the theme of your 3rd conference, Sustainable Use of Africa's Oceans and Seas, is no accident, as it captures the fundamental issues involved in the future of sustainable maritime development in Africa. Distinguished guests, Your Excellency, I look forward to the positive and implementable outcome of your conference. I will continue to partner with Africa in the provision of the necessary technical assistance in both human and institutional capacity building.
I'm particularly delighted by the theme of the conference, which is sustainable use of African oceans and seas. The relevance of this topic to Nigeria's quest for sustainable economic development cannot be overemphasized. The days of paying lip service to the emergence of skilled indigenous seamen and seawomen and indigenous fleet owners, not vessel owners, are well over. A strong man leaves the cargo it generates. Therefore, Africa must possess the capacity to leave the cargo it generates, be they dry or wet, if it must qualify as a strong maritime continent.
Over 80% of the volume of world merchandise trade is carried by sea, and an even higher percentage of developing country trade is carried in ships. Global seaborne trade and world merchandise trade have both been growing at a faster rate than global GDP since 1990. Not all developing countries have managed to take advantage of the trade opportunities that come from globalization and increased trade facilitation, according to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. High trade costs and supply side constraints may be one explanation as to why countries in Africa are not able to take advantage of trading opportunities. One measure to address these constraints is to invest in physical infrastructure that is essential to carry out production and trade, so as to allow traders easier access to international markets. We as Maersk are very pleased to be a part of this conference of African maritime administrators, and we hope at the end of this conference we'll all be inspired with the political will to ensure the sustainable use of Africa's oceans and seas for efficient trade.
For us in Nigeria, the objectives of a vibrant Nigerian maritime industry cannot be overemphasized. This is why we are once again within a cocktail of legislative intervention. We have rolled out to revitalize the Nigerian transport sector and are looking at more ways to improve the effectiveness of the Nigerian maritime industry. The Association of Heads of African Maritime Administration is a veritable instrument for creating convergence and viability into the practice of maritime administration and safety in Africa. This is why the National Assembly supports this initiative and hopes that the African maritime market will very soon have a new lease of life.
The Director General of NIMASA, Dr. Dakuku Peterside, who was the chief host, took time to brief stakeholders about AMA.
Nigeria has waited with bated breath for this day and year to host this important gathering. We are particularly delighted that this conference is holding anchor here on our shores. Nigeria's place in the maritime world is not only deserved, it is common knowledge. It is special in the maritime community in Africa for a number of reasons. Nigeria accounts for over 60% of total seaborne traffic in volume and value in West and Central Africa region. I am optimistic that the Abuja conference will sail to its shore. It will mark the beginning of concerted cooperative and collaborative efforts at tackling Africa's maritime administration challenges, as well as tapping into our limitless opportunities. Africa's waterways will be better at the end of this conference than it was at the beginning.
AMA was formed following the signing of the African Transport and Maritime Charter in 2012 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and the aim of the association is to promote the development of Africa's maritime regulatory and maritime environment.
Between the Nigerian meeting and now, a lot of developments have taken place. We have had two executive committee meetings, one in Arab Academy in Egypt, the second one hosted by the Kenya Maritime Authority. And in those two meetings, a lot of resolutions were made. Some needed the consent or approval or cooperation of the African Union, some government of different regions, and some with the IMO. A lot of progress has been recorded. And so at the end of the meeting in Egypt, there will be far-reaching resolutions that will deal with the issue of marine environment. It's focusing on marine environment, protecting the African maritime environment for sustainable development. We will be addressing the issue of piracy and maritime crime, which has held back Africa for a very long time. We'll be talking about the African cabotage. How do we promote inter-African trade? If you look at Africa, is the continent that trades least with herself. Europeans account for minimum of between 50 and 60% of trade among themselves. Americans also account for between 50 and 60%. Africa is the only region of the world that accounts for between 12 and 15% of trading among her own people. And so There's minimal trade between Nigeria and South Africa, minimal trade between Nigeria and Ghana. You hardly find vessels that leave the port of Nigeria with their last call being the port of Accra or the port of Lomé or the port of Benin. There's minimal trade amongst Africans. So we'll be talking about African cabotage, shared security challenges, talking about the African maritime environment, talking about the evolving concept of the blue economy, which is being promoted by our heads of government.
Okay.
And there will be very remarkable resolutions in Egypt. We look forward to Egypt with a lot of hope and confidence.
AMA was formed following the signing of the African Transport and Maritime Charter in 2012 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and the aim of the association is to promote the development of Africa's maritime regulatory and maritime environment. Egypt is hosting the 2018 edition of the meeting.
Introducing the new face of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. We are charting the direction for our maritime and regulating the industry for a better, bigger, and more economically stable Nigeria. Evolved to serve you better. We are NIMASA. New face, rejuvenated service. NIMASA, changing the tides in your favor.
The shipping sector is considered to be very technical. And for you to go into it, you have to have deep pockets. Not the step that you're seeing, no, your hand in the pocket has to touch the ground because it can be capital intensive. Today, we'll be celebrating somebody who, above all odds, or against all odds, is making a huge mark in the shipping arena. Who is this person? Well, sit back and enjoy the segment that we'll be bringing to you. Mr. Taufik Adegbite is the MD CEO of Marine Platforms. Let's share some of his secrets.
Growing capacity for the Nigerian maritime sector has been described as a major challenge. Aside human capital investment, infrastructural investment is seen as a major hurdle, particularly in shipping. With an average minimal price of $10 million for a small 7.3-ton tanker vessel to as much as over $609 million for the Samsung 1,300 feet long Mitsui OSK line megaship, it is obvious that shipping is capital intensive. There are over 1,227 vessels owned by Nigerians, and Marine Platforms Nigeria Limited have a say in the ownership of some of these vessels. For an oil service company focused on providing diverse services, which include vessel chartering for the upstream sector of the oil and gas industry to be thriving well, it is simply a testimony of the inherent opportunities in the Nigerian maritime sector.
Before you do any business at all, honestly speaking, there must be the market. You must actually understand the market. If you don't understand the market, it means you don't want to know what you're doing. If someone could go into ferry business, for instance, in Lagos, and the government will not dash you. It is business because you can see clearly that there is a space. Government doesn't have interest. And if you want to go into the PSC, you must probably do your feasibility. How many are there? What's the business? What's the need? So if all those not done properly, we will be having issues, just like any other industry. So I do not think it's a function of the market's not there. And we're lucky, especially in Nigeria, because you have the Cabotage Act.
And he says the Nigerian maritime industry is an investment haven only for those who mean doing business the right way. How best can Nigerians invest in building vessels? What are the factors to consider so that it is a win-win situation for an investor to acquire a vessel?
I'll tell you what the Norwegians told me when we first wanted to foray into vessel building. They said, Taufik, there are 3 dimensions to vessels: the cost of building the vessel, the cost of maintaining the vessel, and the resale value of the vessel. So, you may choose to build cheap, but your maintenance cost will be high, and your resale value will be low. Or, you choose to build quality, okay, it pinches in the beginning, low, then you sell high. So, what will NIMASA now ensure? Will make sure you build quality, so that in the event that the operator cannot operate very well, when you take the vessel, you are not at zero, you still have an asset that you could put on to someone else to run.
Okay, before we go, let's move a bit to this next visit. If you go to Gambia, if they ask you negative, yes, that's the only thing I remember. Negative. It's like asking you, how are you? And they came to ask us, how are you doing this job? Yes, the Gambian Maritime Administration team led by their DG came to visit to kind of find out things. It was more like a study tour for them. NIMASA hosted them, and here are some clips from that visit.
The Director General of the Gambian Maritime Administration, who led the delegation to Nigeria, commended the leadership of NIMASA in the sub-region, saying that their visit to Nigeria was to learn from the agency about its processes and procedures in maritime safety administration.
The Gambian Maritime Administration is a very young institution established in 2006. In order to improve on our capabilities, we thought it prudent to come to NIMASA with their wealth of experience to learn from NIMASA how they made it up until today. And we are very happy with the presentations made today at the headquarters by the different resource persons, and we are very, very impressed with the wealth and depth of experience they have displayed during this afternoon sessions.
The Director Special Duties, NIMASA, Hajia Lami Tumaka, who led the NIMASA team at the courtesy visit, noted that Nigeria is fully committed to regional collaboration to grow capacity for effective maritime administration in the region.
I think NIMASA has mastered the act, and I can assure you, you have the best team assembled here.
All operational heads of department made presentations to which the Gambian team listened with rapt attention. The NIMASA Director General, Dr. Dakuku Peterside, hosted a dinner in honor of the visiting team, where he noted that the relationship will be a mutually beneficial one.
When you will be going back to Banjul on Friday, please tell them that you have an extended family in Nigeria. The maritime family in Nigeria is an extension of the Gambia Maritime Administration. And Gambia Maritime Administration is also an extension of NIMASA. When we have training programs, I'm sure we'll invite you to participate in some of our training programs.
Very nice to have hosted you today on the program NIMASA this week. Hopefully we'll see you again next week. It was nice hosting the Gambians, and if you ever find time, you could visit the Gambia. Their beaches are beautiful, just like the Nigerian beaches too. Nice one. Okay, from the last hosting of AMA in Abuja, Nigeria, there was this beautiful performance by our hunky brother. Ooh, he's got packs. I'm talking about Flavor. Enjoy this one, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.